So I decided that I wanted to dedicate a bit of time to a lot of disorders that often get lumped under one umbrella. So an example of that in Chinese medicine is when the literature lumps eczema, psoriasis, and dermatitis together when they talk about skin disorders. Or another one in terms of mental health is when they put anxiety, phobias, panic attacks, fear, hypervigilance, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder all under anxiety. We can do that, and I'm not opposed to it because at least it's being covered, but I really feel like you need to step those out. And I believe that in 2 weeks, we are back again, and I think it's obsessive compulsive disorder in a fortnight. Addictions, I think, are with it. So, and then I do put post-traumatic stress disorder as well before the end of these workshops. Not sure exactly the date on that one. So the idea was to allow each of those health disorders to shine, give them their moment. So when we look at stages of panic attacks, Western medicine doesn't have it completely nailed down, which is fair enough. That's not a slight. And we don't have it nailed down either from a Chinese medicine perspective. So we got an approach, and we look to see if that approach is going to work. So one of the approaches through Western medicine is they talk about 7 stages. So that example there is not a medical website. So I know that if I tried to use that in, say, a master's degree assignment, it would be a very poor reference example. But this is not a master's degree assignment. It is a workshop, and I thought it was a very, very helpful and user-friendly site where they stepped out the 7 stages of panic attack. And basically speaking, none of them are pre-attack, and really only the 7th one is post-attack. All of the 7 are part of the attack itself. So what they didn't look at is how the person represents when they don't have a panic attack, which is most of the time. And they didn't really look at what happens at the point where the panic attack ends. So what we're going to do is do that, because for us, from a Chinese medicine perspective, we can make sense of the panic attack better, in my opinion. So we're going to look at 3 stages, not 7, which would actually, if we included 2 of these stages in those 7 stages from the last slide, it would be a 9-stage panic attack. So we're going to look at 3. Stage 1 is the pre-attack, stage 2 is the actual panic attack, and stage 3 is the post-attack. And before I get to that, just quickly, I wanted to just make sure that we understood that there's lots of emotions going on with a panic attack. The reason that they lump it in with anxiety is not unreasonable. What they're failing to sort of consider, or that's not entirely fair, but I guess there's more than just anxiety with a panic attack, whether it's the attack or outside of it. There's fear, there's all sorts of other emotions. And so the emotional part of panic attacks needs to be considered, as do the diagnosis, as does the diagnosis. And in this case, I'm focusing on excess or deficient or stagnation. There can be excess on deficient patients, but again, I'm trying to streamline it a bit for you. I've got a perfect example. When I did the depression workshop back in February, I think it was, but Healthy Seminars does have that one available to view if you're interested in it and didn't watch it. There's an entire book on treating depression using Chinese medicine. And overall, it's actually a great book. But just the thought of this entire book, and it's quite large. It's, you know, not quite as large as my one, but it's big. For you to go, how do I treat depression? And then you go, oh, here's a book on depression, and you get it out and you look at it and you go, holy moly, there is so much here. How do I even begin? Where do I start? And then when you open it up and you look at it, nearly every pattern in Chinese medicine can create depression or can be or depression can cause the pattern. I'm not saying that's wrong. What I'm saying is, as a reader and as a practitioner, my mind just goes, it can't cope. It's too much. I need something that's tighter. What's more likely? And that's what we're trying to do here, is give you something more likely. If it's not that, then start thinking about what it could be that when it's not on that table.